Slept pretty good and had some weird dreams. Very weird dreams. I slept well. So I'm grateful for that. I hope you slept well too. And if you didn't sleep well, don't be hard on yourself. Take a nap. Drink some water. Just don't be hard on yourself. It's hard. Life is hard. Not sleeping makes it even harder. And beating yourself up about not sleeping or having insomnia doesn't help at all. So if you need someone to tell you you have permission not to be hard on yourself, let me be that person. Don't be hard on yourself. If you did get a night's sleep, make sure you're grateful. Make sure you're like, yes, thank you, mind, body, spirit. Because I know other people didn't. So be grateful and try to share that today with someone. The whole topic this week has been around honoring the fight against COVID. And the main point of this week was to give everyone permission to feel a part of this fight. Doesn't matter how big or small a role that you play. The tip of the spear is useless without the rest of the handle. So it doesn't matter where you are on this fight. So the main thing is you can honor the fight against COVID at any level, and don't judge your value or worth based on who or what or how big or how small. Just honor the fight by showing up however you can, and don't judge your worth or value relating to other people. Just don't do it. Now, I know that's easier said than done. And that's why we practice, because the story of, well, I'm not a first responder, so I can't do this. Well, I'm not a frontline worker, so, what does it matter what I do? I'm lucky. I'm able to work from home, or I'm not a teacher, or I don't have kids. Whatever judgment that you can think of to invalidate your value or your worth in this fight is a story that is simply made up. It's just a made up story. Mindfulness, by definition, is non-judgmental present tense awareness. It is literally just a new scientific way to describe the ability to recognize your thoughts as simply clouds floating through the sky. Religious teachers, spiritual teachers, philosophers have all understood that your thoughts are not who you are. You have thoughts, but they're not who you are. And so they've all done different ways or articulated different ways to help human beings situate themselves in positions of understanding where they see that their thoughts and what they can think of is not the entirety of existence or not the entirety of their worth. It's been happening forever. It's just now we call it this new thing called mindfulness. So what that is it's an awareness that your true perspective is more like the perspective of the sky than it is the perspective of the clouds. Your perspective is more like that of a river as opposed to the leaves floating through it. You're the big thing, not the thing that happens inside the big thing. And so when any judgment thoughts come up, or I'm not this, or I'm not that, or I should be this, or I should be that, that's a thought that's like a cloud floating through the sky. That's a leaf that's floating along the top of the river. You're the river. You're the sky. If you pay attention to the leaves, exclusively the leaves, you can trick yourself into thinking you're the leaf. If you're the sky and you exclusively focus on the clouds that are floating through the sky, you can get stuck thinking that you're the clouds. That's a mistake. It's a mistake that human beings have been making for forever. So don't judge yourself for making the mistake. It is what we've always done. It's what we'll always do, because part of our ability as human beings is to be able to think and is to be able to project into the future And think about the past. It's what separates us from the animal kingdom. So it's a really cool thing. But we don't always know how to use it. Sometimes in our history we've known how to use it better than others. Well, we're learning how to use it again in a new form under this topic or title or label called mindfulness. It's just a label. The practice itself is what matters. And I left the bell over there, so I'll stop talking and we'll start training. Let me go get the bell. So go ahead and start working on your comfort. My eyes feel heavy today, so probably gonna close them right away. Here comes first bell. What shows up first in your senses? Sight, sound, taste, touch, smell. Now touch, so my eyes feel heavy. Someone close them. I notice light and shadow. I notice the light that comes in through my eyelids. I'm aware of that. I can hear the sound of the rain. So what happens when you start to dial into the present moment? Do you hear anything? Can you really zoom in on what you hear? Can you smell anything? Can you really zoom in on what you smell? Can you taste anything? Can you really zoom in on what you taste? What do you feel? Temperature, clothing, breeze. Let's get into the body. Notice your alignment, starting at the ground. Build your alignment, starting at the ground. First, notice whatever's touching the ground. Your ankles, your feet, sides of your legs. If it's uncomfortable, make the adjustment. If it's comfortable, just leave it as it is. Pelvis, base of the spine. What does it feel like? Maybe make a little shimmer or shiver or shimmy shake. And just kind of feel your base. Base of the spine at the hip region. What do you feel today? Come up to the core. Feel the core. You can feel fabric of clothing on the core. Heart space. It's always worth your time to move your shoulder blades around. And if you ever are uncomfortable and you want to shift and make any adjustments, by all means. I just did. Throat space. Can you feel air moving in your throat? Top of the head. Top of the head, top of the spine. Imagine getting taller by 1 millimeter. Soften the face. Soften the face. Create a smile. Hack that vagus nerve. A little wry smile. That smile of, yeah, I got this. Let's go to third bell. Notice your breath. Notice its location. Just notice its intensity. 10 is all out effort. And when 1 is just absolutely calm, where is it now? Now see if you can notice its direction. So how it's moving. Is it kind of like a spiral? Is it moving forward and backwards? Is it moving up and down? Is it like an orb that expands and contracts? Like, what direction is your breath moving in? Does it have a direction? Now, where does it feel in your body? It's like I'm noticing it feels like my breath is more towards like the front of my belly. Like it's more closer, it's closer to the skin. It's not so deep. It feels deep down in my torso, but it feels like it's towards the front. Yesterday it felt different. It felt more centered. Now size. How big is your breath right now? Now take some really big, full breaths. And take it in through the nose, let it out slow, but just really max everything out. Max out size, max out depth, max out direction. Not necessarily max out intensity, but just take it in as big as you can and let it out slow. Do about 3 of those. And just sit with that for a moment. Send the fourth bell. So feel free to make any hand placements that you like for fourth bell. This is where we're going to focus on gratitude and compassion. When you're ready, I want you to put your focus on gratitude for the whole idea behind focusing on the present moment. The whole idea behind the validation of putting your attention on the present moment as a good thing. You know, for much of human history, the present moment was described in a lot of different ways, and it wasn't given the kind of expression that the Western mind would find accessible. And what happened was it was the Iraq and Afghanistan war that really shifted the emphasis on this idea of putting your attention on the present moment, so much so that scientists rushed to validate it. And what they did was they created a space in the Western mind, in the story of the Western mind, for this notion of the present moment in a non-judgmental interaction with the present moment has tremendous value. And so when the Western scientific language styled processing of things gave permission for everybody to really dig into this idea, then all the other great teachers out there that have already been saying this, all of a sudden took on new meaning. So there's one teacher in particular, this guy named Thich Nhat Hanh, who is just everything about him is all focused on the present moment. Just the present moment at every moment, and that's all he does all day long is focus on the present moment. And whatever he's doing it with his complete and total attention. Walking, eating, talking to people. If he's preparing for something that's happening in the future, that's all he's doing in that moment. And I want to acknowledge him, and I want to acknowledge the notion of the present moment having value, and I want to just say how much I appreciate this ability and the validation of this ability in the face of the challenges that life includes. So much of those challenges are exacerbated by expectation and judgment. And so to have a tool that's validated as a useful tool that's for real just means that there's a piece of life out there that I can hone in on, ground into, and work at becoming better at, that will support me as I go through the challenges and the toughness that is life. So I'm super grateful for that. And then for all the people out there that are stuck kind of in the whirlwind of the mind, in the whirlwind of social media and its comparisons, in the whirlwind of our systems and their judgments and their kind of structures and their organization, and how those structures may not be supporting people the way that they need to be supported. And so there's just this sense of getting stuck in a real tough place in your head. And maybe you don't know that there are things you can do about it. So you're just in this whirlwind of your mind and your thoughts and just getting stuck in them and triggered by them and all over and over and every day. And I reach out to you with my heart, and I say, I love you, and I want you to be happy, and I'm thinking about you, and I'm honoring you. Don't give up. Hang in there. Study this present moment. Study the fact that the thoughts in your head don't have to be the only things in there. Know that you're appreciated. Know that we value you. You have family and loved ones that value you. And if you're suffering and you're struggling, I see you, and I stand in solidarity with you. And I long for the day that we can connect, even through Zoom or social media, and I can introduce you to this practice of the present moment, of interacting with it non-judgmentally, and that you'll recognize that there's some resources out there or there's a skill set within you that you can cultivate that can help with the challenges of this life, because it's hard. It's a hard thing to live life. And the suffering is universal. No one is without suffering. So I stand in solidarity with you. I wish the best for you, and my heart reaches out to your heart. Take 2 more breaths, and on the second exhale, we'll finish. All right, Armor Down. Have a good weekend. Next week, I'm going to talk about people who are in the fight against COVID. I'm excited to share that with you. Have a great weekend. See you on Monday.